Girl steals man's parking spot, has no idea who she's dealing with. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to m&rtv and hit the bell so you never miss any upload from us. Also, leave a like right now. Amid the chaos, he felt an irritating prickle of hot breath on the back of his neck as someone jostled behind him in line. He was already annoyed beyond belief about what had happened earlier, but when he heard her speak and recognized her voice, his jaw began to clench. Suddenly, he was struck with a diabolical idea. As petty as it was, he just couldn't resist the opportunity for a spectacular act of revenge. Lara and her husband Hunter were not impulsive or vindictive people. In fact, they were completely straight-laced, hard-working citizens, and lately they had found themselves in a comfortable but predictable routine. They would get up at 5, go to work, arrive home at 8, and watch a mind-numbing show on TV, so exhausted at the end of the day that they barely spoke to one another anymore. Nobody could have predicted what havoc they were about to cause. Lara and Hunter had just begun unwinding after a long day of work when a powerful sugar craving hit him. Ravenous and with no food except popcorn in the apartment due to their busy schedules, Hunter began dreaming of the only thing that would satisfy his craving: jelly filling, powdered sugar, and Boston cream. He looked at his wife and impulsively declared, "Let's go and pick up some donuts." Lara, delighted that they were going to finally get out of the house and drive somewhere together, enthusiastically agreed. But there was already a problem. It was 8:30 p.m. The only place that served donuts this late was downtown. They'd just make it if they hurried, and they'd have to brave some hellish traffic to get there. But by now, the craving had taken hold of Lara too. She needed a sugary ball of fried dough, and God help whoever stood in her way. She felt like a teenager as they ran to the car, giggling as they sped off. The couple screeched into the parking lot, but to their dismay, it was filled with cars and other people who also craved a late-night sugar fix. Still, they had driven all the way here and had a few minutes to spare before the bakery closed. They had to find a parking space, and quickly. Magically, a spot opened up right in front of them. Clearly, the parking gods were smiling on the couple as Hunter happily flicked his indicator on and prepared to reverse into the space. He never even saw them coming. A tiny car full of young, loud girls appeared out of nowhere, raced up to the empty spot, and swooped in before Hunter even realized what was happening. He slammed on the brakes as the girl's car came to a screeching halt. He felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up and the muscles in his face clench. So rude. Who did they think they were? He rolled down his window to give the woman an earful, but got a slap in the face instead. "Excuse me, we were just backing in," Hunter called out to the girls, trying to keep calm. "Too bad your name wasn't on it," the young driver replied with a nasty smug smirk. The girls piled out and laughed in his face as they walked past. Stunned by the rude girl's audacity and blatant disregard for anyone else, he told Lara to scoot over and take the wheel. Still seething, he directed her to pick him up at the donut shop in 5 minutes as he ran to the bakery on foot. The delicious smell of fried dough and icing hit him as he walked in, with his mouth watering now that he was so close to finally getting what he'd driven all the way here for, but the bakery was absolutely packed. Hunter watched the shelves of donuts emptying as person after person in front of him scooped them up. He had almost forgotten about the rude girls as he prayed that there would be 2 donuts left when he got to the front. Then someone jostled him from behind. Hunter felt his jaw clench as someone rudely jostled and crowded behind him, so close to him that he could feel hot breath on his neck. Balling his fists and with his sugar low only aggravating his irritation, he heard a voice from behind and immediately recognized it. Then his eyes narrowed. It was the girl who had cut him off. He stood quietly seething until it was finally his turn. Suddenly, he smiled his sweet smile at the cashier and took his revenge. He whipped his head around quickly, but the girls were prattling so loudly at each other that they didn't even notice him. "Thank God we got a parking spot," one trilled before they all erupted with screeches of laughter. Their voices grated on his nerves, but he composed himself, checked his wallet, and cleared his throat. It was time for their comeuppance. "I'll take them all," Hunter said loudly so that the girls could hear. "All 24 donuts." That got the entitled girl's attention. The rude driver, voicing her displeasure at not getting what she wanted, began to have a tantrum like a spoiled child. "What, you're not even going to save a few for us?" she petulantly yelled at the cashier. "He can't do that. We've been waiting." That was exactly what Hunter had been waiting for. He knew her type. He whipped around with childish glee and couldn't contain himself. It was too poetic. "Too bad. Your name wasn't on it," Hunter smugly shot back, and the look of thunder on the girls' faces almost made the entire annoying ordeal worth it. He paid, grabbed his bag of donuts, and sauntered past the awful teenagers with a spring in his step and a satisfying sense of justice in his heart. Little did he know his partner-in-crime wife, who he had left in the parking lot, was busy serving up an extra helping of justice. Hunter waited for Lara outside the bakery, but she was nowhere in sight. He took his phone out of his pocket and called her. "Where are you?" he asked cheerily. "In our parking spot," she replied, giggling uncontrollably. Hunter was confused for a second, but then it dawned on him. He walked up to the girl's car and, sure enough, there was Lara. Lara had packed their car right behind the girl's car, effectively parking them in. Hunter told her what had happened in the bakery, and she laughed so hard she snorted. Then she revealed her idea for revenge. But before she could finish, she was interrupted by an angry honk. It was the gaggle of rude girls, donutless and fuming. And when they realized what Lara was doing, they were dumbstruck. Hunter and Lara sat giggling like a couple of teenagers and rolled up their windows, ignoring the furious hooting and the catty girls' indignant cries. Hunter handed Lara a jelly donut from the bag, and she could have sworn that she'd never tasted anything sweeter. They leisurely ate 2 donuts each, enjoying the spectacle behind them and reveling in the mischief they'd caused. Revenge had never felt so good.